My name is Richard Casper. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I teach the course here at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. This program started basically because after my injuries in war, I didn't know how to deal with myself. I came back, had a brain injury, my best friend was shot and killed. I didn't know myself at that point. Art has helped me by giving me a chance to have a voice again. I used to not be able to leave my house. I couldn't go talk to people. I would physically throw up and get sick. If you could be 0%, that's committing suicide, 100% being the best you can be. After the Marine Corps, after being injured, I was at probably like a 9 or a 10. And after this school, I was back to like 85% me. For people who may struggle like I did and didn't want to break out of the house and be like, I'm not sure if this is going to work, I just want them to know my story and be able to come out here and learn with other combat vets how to do art. And if they're looking for one more way, if they just come out here and give me a chance, it's going to be worth it.
What we were aiming for is to express what we were dealing with, when we were deployed and during our military career, where we literally get out of our element, go on this kind of like alternate reality to go back in time, think about what we went through, and express it to other people.
Just being exposed to different concepts of art, like at the museum and some of the contemporary art we saw, that's what influenced me to try doing a performance piece for my last project.
The opportunity to be at the school was just phenomenal. It was amazing. At lunch, we could go and wander the halls of the museums, and that was pretty awesome.
I think the hardest part was actually talking about what I've been through. It was easy talking to Richard because he is a combat veteran and he has been through stuff I've been through. And
my job was to, go find IEDs or find landmines or anti-personnel landmines and take them apart. And little did I know, I was putting that stuff inside me.
At first, it's a little hard to let yourself become vulnerable. You won't really know what to do right away. It takes a couple days. I know for me, it took a week.
Being surrounded by a bunch of veterans that know what combat feels like, knows the after effects of combat, knows how it feels to come home. It was really comfortable being here.
They're gonna come to class like normal college students, treated like normal people that know how to be like, I can be in college, I am a normal person, and I could live like everybody else lives. If even one of them chose to go to college and study art and has that artist brain to where it saved them, it's totally worth it.
All right. Here we go. We're live. What's going on, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Mixer peeps? We just had an awesome session with Songwriting 101 with Rick. Shout out to Rick for doing a great job. Today we're going to be doing a little, I call it mixed media art, because I'm going to do a lot of things. Hopefully. Just kind of playing around with the materials I have and stuff I have available in my studio. If this is your first time streaming with CreatiVets, my name is Garrett Leo. I am the art director for CreatiVets. We've been doing this for, I think this is week 6. Shout out to all of our wonderful supporters for these streams. Couldn't do it without you all tuning in. So if you have any questions as I'm doing stuff, drop them in the comments wherever you're watching so I can answer them. Curious to know who's watching or where you're watching from. I know we have a lot of people in Chicago watch. That's where I'm at. So if you're watching right now and you're gonna be making some art or just kind of following along today, drop a comment, say hello so I know who's with us. I see we've got a little bit of everyone on every platform. And then make sure you share this, send it to your friends because we're doing quite a bit today. First things first, I painted this in a past stream. I think honestly it was like 2 weeks ago. Now I've got my camera at a different angle so you can see the table today. So hopefully I get it right. This is a painting I did for just an intro to oil painting. I did that I think 2 weeks ago and it's been sitting in my studio just drying out. Okay. It may be right on. It's dry. This is oil paint. I did it with. I'll just show you because if you were not here for that stream, it was pretty fun to do. If this is your first one with me, sorry about my squeaky chair. I painted them with a water mixable oil color studio set, Winsor Newton. Here, I'll show you the brand. Super fun paint. Usually for oil painting, you need turpenoid or turpentine to kind of break it down, but this was a water soluble one, so it was super fun to work with. So I painted this little toy soldier. We'll be coating it with a varnish today. I'll be using Winsor Newton again. This is a satin focus. Satin varnish. Todd, visual artist, hobbyist in Long Beach, California. How's the weather out there today, Todd? Today it's pretty cold. I'm looking forward to this weekend because it's going to be like 70, I think, in Chicago. So the first thing I'm going to do today, just kind of like finishing what we had already started, like I said in the past stream. This has been painted. I had to let it sit out for a couple weeks because of these thicker areas of paint. Honestly, some of them are still kind of tacky, but we're just gonna do it because I think it'll be fine. So I've had this sitting out in my studio. Again, you don't want it somewhere cold because the cold will kind of it'll slow down that curing process for the paint. So it's been kind of warm. Yeah, I'm just gonna pour a little bit of this varnish on, and for me, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna go up and down. I'm going to try to keep it all going one direction. I'm not going to splatter it all back and forth. The reason I'm going to do that is I don't want to see a lot of my brush strokes. Now, again, I'm just using a brush that I have in my studio. This is a Blick Essential, just a flat, right? I've used this before. As you can see, some of my bristles are a little crazy. So I'm going to pour a little bit on. The reason, if you're asking yourself, why are you coating it with varnish, is so that the painting will last longer, right? It'll provide like a seal over the paint so that it doesn't absorb anything. That paint is very porous, right? So it'll absorb any dust or particles flying around. So this will kind of seal it. And I chose satin just because I like the way that looks on paintings. Todd said it's sunny and 70s now, but nowhere to go. Yeah, I know. I feel that. So I'm just going to pour a little bit. Now, some painters out there might be cringing. Maybe Todd is a painter. He's like, what is this guy doing? He just poured it on the painting. This is how I do it. If you do it a different way, that's fantastic. Right? What we talk about almost in all of our streams is do it your way. Experiment. Now you will notice, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I immediately saw it. This varnish really brightens the paint, so it really makes it more vibrant, more juicy, I would describe. So on top of protecting it and sealing it, it also makes your painting look really nice. The colors will pop out. Now, again, I'm using a satin. You could use a gloss. You could use a matte so that there's no shine. So if you don't know what any of these words are, just a little quick example is a satin is like in between shiny and matte, right? Glossy and matte. Matte is when there's no surface reflection at all, right? It's very flat looking. And then glossy obviously is super shiny. So I'm like right in the middle. Now I'm being mindful that when I'm going over these ridges, right, I use that palette knife to put the paint on there for the clouds. I'm not pressing down super hard because I did say they are a little tacky. So it could have sat out for a couple weeks. But I wanted to get this thing done because I am planning on putting a picture of this on my Instagram today. So I want to get this coated and set so I can put it somewhere else in my apartment to let it dry. Now I'm just making sure I have, it honestly looks like an eyelash. Got stuck on the painting, so I'm taking that off. Now you don't want this to be super thick, right? I'm really letting it soak into the canvas board, into the paint. I do not want to see puddles on top of my painting. So I'm just going over now and making sure I don't have any spots where there's too much paint. Or not paint, varnish. What are some people that are watching? What are some projects you all have been working on? Yesterday I did a stream, just kind of talking through the process of working on a graphic novel, because I've been working on a graphic novel. I'm hoping to hear more from you all, because yesterday I did a lot of talking. Okay, got another little brush. I'm just checking to make sure I don't have any what's it called? Little hairs or paintbrush bristles stuck to my painting, because I don't want that to disrupt the composition. So I did one coat. I'm gonna let that dry for a second, and then I'll put a little second coat on there. So while I do that, we'll do a little show and tell. I showed off my graphic novel yesterday. I did start today. I talked about how I just wasn't in the mood for it yesterday, and that's something that's really important is as you're making art, don't force it. If you're not feeling it, just stop. But I did draw this today. This is the opening scene to the last part of my comic book. Check that out. It's a little grungy apartment building, backlot with a car. So I'm drawing that in non-photo blue pencil. And then I'll ink this. So what I want to do, just for side note, is I want to finish. I've got 6 pages mapped out. I want to finish sketching those 6 pages before I start inking. And then once I start inking, I'll be able to do some more streams about that. Let's see, what else do I have going on in here? Oh, we had, if you follow us on Instagram or liked us on Facebook, we made a post about this. We sent out our CreatiVets art boxes, we sent it out 2 days ago. So we've sent out some art kits to 10 veteran participants that are going to do a virtual class with us. So they've got all the materials needed shipped straight to them. So I'll be doing or someone from CreatiVets will be doing an unboxing and workshop stream. Thank you, Mrs. OEF5, for doing an auto host. So they'll be doing... Well, we've already sent these out, so 10 participants will be able to participate with a virtual class with us. So all materials needed for the class are in this box. All right? That's a cool little show and tell shout out. When I'm done with this, I have 2 projects that I can work on today. Project 1, which is what I wanted to explore, is I am a ceramicist, so I tend to have ceramic sculptures laying around the apartment. This was a little one-off sculpture that I did. So this is you see it's hollow in there. This is ceramics. This is weather safe. You can go outside. I made it, and I feel like I could do something else with it to make it a cool object. So what I'm planning on doing is putting some like clown makeup on him, right? Because he kind of looks like a funny, interesting character. So I will I'll use my oil paints. I've never done it before on ceramic, but we'll try it today. And I'm going to put some clown makeup on him. So if you don't like clowns, don't watch that part. And I'll kind of walk through. I have this really old, from 1955, book that I got that has all these like clown drawings in it and different types of makeup. So I'll do some sketches first before I decide on what to put on the sculpture, and then I'll paint it on the sculpture. And then project 2, depending on time, I did this sketch yesterday of 4 portraits. 2 of them are celebrities. I can talk about them. But I'll be inking these either on stream today or do it on my own if I run out of time. So, it's enough time for this. I'm going to do another coat. Let's see. Porsche's auto hosting me. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm doing 2 coats of the satin. That's just what I've done in the past. If you prefer doing more or less, again, it's up to you of what you want that finished surface to look like on your painting. I'm going to do 2 coats because it worked well for me last time. Todd painted a Civil War Union infantry soldier portrait from an old Daguerreau type. I just butchered the pronunciation on that, didn't I? But that's cool. If this is Todd, if this is the first time you saw a stream with me, I'm a huge portrait drawer. I love figurative stuff. My ceramic work is figurative, and I've been doing this series of work for Simon's Club. I'm doing this like members only club of all these fictional characters. I'll show you that in a second. Again, I'm just going to take a look and make sure I don't have any specks of whatever, bristles or dust. Whatever I can take off. Just making sure that the only thing on my canvas is my paint and my varnish. And again, the varnish, if you just tuned in, the varnish is a sealant. It'll protect the health of the painting. I'm doing 2 coats of it. This is my second one. And it'll also make the colors stand out. I think that's good. Now this stuff, let me just check. Shake well before use. I did that. I don't think it has a time on here of how long it takes to dry. I think it just takes like an hour or 2. I don't remember it taking that long when I had done it before. Again, making sure that I don't have any puddles forming. So I'm using my little light here, looking at the reflection to make sure I don't have any big dollops of this varnish, because I don't want it to layer up, because it'll look like you'll be able to see it. When this dries, it'll just look like the canvas is very rich and, like I said, almost juicy looking, the colors. So I'm just checking to make sure I don't have any puddles or pools of this stuff. Alright, I think that looks good. Checking it. I don't see any bristles. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to put this in my cup of water. My varnish, I'm going to put back away on my shelf. And this will go back over here to dry. This doesn't have any fumes on it, if people were curious. I probably will open up my window to get some fresh air circulating in the room in a bit. I've got some on my table. I get a little water on my rag, and it just comes right off because it has not had enough time to set. This is ink because I was doing these little cool portraits. Oh, I could show that. Oh, that was what I was going to do. Todd, if you're watching, check this out. See all that? Those are all the portraits that I've done. I've always been interested in drawing figures, but that was those are like an in-progress series of work that I'm doing, and I've been posting on my Instagram. So I'll before I do something else, I'll type up the my Instagram. You can check it out. Check it out. All right, cleaned, back on the table. Boom. Get a little sip of water. Yeah, check out this cup. Pretty cool. All right, so let's do this weird painting on this sculpture. So a couple tools I'm going to use today. Like I said, I am going to paint with the oil paints because I think that would look cool. I'm using you don't have to do this. What? Ed, just subscribe. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. I'm going to use this banding wheel so I can kind of paint and spin it. I did this, if you watch, like one of our very first streams was the ceramic sculpture demo. This way I can paint it, spin it around, and show you. Where's the best place to see? Oh yeah, right there. So you can kind of see it as it evolves. That was something that I mentioned then, was whenever you do something that's a sculpture, right, you can see it in the round, it's three-dimensional. Look at it from different sides, right? So spin it around, look at it. That way, if you're developing a sculpture, you can kind of see how it looks and if it's well balanced. Something that happens when I do these little portraits is, let's see, this is like the perfect angle to look at the sculpture. From here, it doesn't look so great. From here, it doesn't look so great. But that one angle is the angle that I work at when I'm sculpting it, the one that I look at the most, right? So I'm trying to do better in my own personal practice of looking at it from different perspectives to make sure that it looks nice, right? The profile of a piece is just as important if you're doing a face. Mr. 21214 asks, would you ever do a portrait of someone you know? Yes. I'm trying to think. Yeah, well, this kind of counts because I have it in here. But this is a self-portrait that I did. Doesn't look like me, but it is me. This was from our coffee and tea painting demo. So I painted this with a mixture of coffee and tea, and then I inked over it. I'm trying to remember, Kyle, if I've ever done like a portrait specifically of someone I knew. I've done it in like games. So here I'll show you just things laying around my studio. This is a portrait of an old coworker of mine, Mr. Crinkett. This is a gym teacher. I drew that when we hung out virtually during our shelter in place in Chicago. Do I have anything else? I did some blind contours. If you haven't watched that stream yet, I did some blind contour drawings of my buddy Zachary, our Chicago team leader. So I drew him without looking at the paper, and it comes out really bizarre like this. Check that stream out. You can find that on our YouTube channel or Facebook page. But yeah, so I would do portraits of people I know. Something with just my art is very... Mr. 2, Kyle, says that looks exactly like Zach. I also said that in the stream. So occasionally I'll draw it. Usually I draw this series of work, the ones up there. I'm looking at politicians and like mob figures to draw up like almost like mug shots of. That's just, again, with the concept of that body of work. I've been doing that. But every once in a while I'll draw just someone I know or out of my head. So this, I'll show you these. Like I said, I am going to do like a clown makeup on this guy. These are two portraits that I had done previously of clowns. These are cool little prints that I made. I got this True Grit texture supply for Photoshop. So it came with all these like cool little, can you see those? Textures and yeah, there you go. Texture packs and stuff. So I'm using the like, I forgot what it's called, but the little dots to add color. So the background has a light blue and then a red dot texture over it. There you can kind of see it. So I drew these, I inked them, and then I worked on them. Actually, I can show you. Where did I do with the... Oh. So I've been experimenting more and more with like digital work. So this is my file of all of my art things. I thought I put those in here. Maybe I didn't. Oh yeah, I did. So I drew them and inked them just literally on scrap paper, right? So you can see they're just inked. And then I scanned them and edited all the colors digitally. So I have these little prints. If you're interested in one of them, you can DM me on Instagram. So I have these. They're printed on this really nice museum paper. But yeah, these are just some experiments that I did with some digital work. I went to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, so I'm trained professionally for art making in a little bit of everything because I studied art education. But I never really got much into digital work, so that was something that taking advantage of the time now and previously to do some more digital editing work. So let's do some sketches. I gotta figure out what clown makeup I want to do. So here's just a little, I show off a sketchbook almost every stream now. Here's just some sketches of like random faces and really distorted weird guys. We'll draw some clowns. So we'll do that first. So like I said, I'm going to use a reference book. I'll take this off for now. The thing weighs about like 50 pounds, just the spinner alone. So I'm going to look at this. I initially bought this book at like I said, at a teach shop for like, it was $1.50. I couldn't pass it up. But I was going to send it to my best friend Finn, who lives in Texas. He hates clowns. So Finn, if you're watching this, you lucked out because I'm using it for art. So I'm just going to draw some like makeup that I see in the book. Just some little patterns. So I'm going to keep the sculpture here, and then I'm going to do some sketches of just like the patterns of the makeup. Just to get an idea of what I want to do. Oh, that one's cool. So it's going to be... What are people up to today? Just got off the phone with my buddy Zach. We were talking about like what we're doing today. Pretty bunch of nothing. I might paint like a shirt collar on him. That might be something I could do. Just looking through. Like I said, you can kind of find things that you have laying around the house. Like I said, I had this clown book readily available. So I'll use this for reference images, but the internet is also a great thing that you can just Google clown makeup. But I wanted to kind of look at these first before I did anything else. These pictures are absolutely insane. Okay, well, let's get to it. I only sketched 3. So I think I'm gonna do a light sketch on the actual surface. Alright, so I will use, I'm going to get my paint scraper. Where did I put it? Oh. Pardon that noise. Just broke everyone's ears with that. So I talked about this in the oil painting demo. If you let your paint dry on your little palette, you can use this cool little paint scraper to scrape it off. So I'm just going to do that, make a little space for me to work. And it is an X-Acto blade, a razor blade on the end, so just be careful with it. Nope. Okay, that's all the space I should need. So materials I'm going to use today, I'll use the water-soluble paint again. I've got my brushes. I've got my palette knives. These palette knives I use to mix the paint. And the brushes, obviously, I'll use to paint with. And then I'll use my this is a glass sheet, a little glass pane, rounded out edges. If you have a glass pane that's got sharp edges, just duct tape it. I'll use this to mix all my paint on. And then I've got my paint scraper to clean with. And I've got my, I think this is a bed sheet that I cut up into scraps so that I could have it to just wipe up messes and stuff. Let's see. Todd, Wayne Brzezinka introduced you to the organization. You've moved to 4-day work weeks at your job. Friday off for the next 8 to 10 weeks. Just paint today. Right on. Yeah, Wayne's super cool guy. Super glad to have his participation, and we love working with him. Super talented. I've watched his streams. Here, you asked for my Instagram. I'll do it. I'll plug it in right now. But I actually have, I don't think I have it in here, but I have one of Wayne's prints. Richard Casper is a good friend of Wayne's, and Wayne did a print, or a big collage for Johnny Cash, and I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. And he gave him some prints for me, like one of his limited edition prints of the piece. So I actually had that hung up in my living room. Okay. So I have 2 Instagrams. The first one is Man Glazed Black. You can check that out. That's where I post like my day-to-day art stuff. Pretty much like all the work that I do. Simon's Club, like I said, is that very specific series of work. Is those portraits. So if you're interested in the portraits, Todd, check out the Simon's Club one. I post a bunch of other drawings and portraits on my personal page, but the Simon's Club is just black and white drawings. Okay, so, and yes, that's a fantastic print piece, that Johnny Cash one. I actually watched this random ad on Facebook. They were talking about the Johnny Cash estate, and it popped up, and they talked about Wayne for a second, which was cool. So I'm going to model it after this guy, because they're both frowning. So I'm going to kind of copy the makeup that I did in here, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to try to mix that like teal, green, blue. Where's my paint? Now, if I don't remember, no, I don't think anyone asked, but I'm going to say it anyways. I don't usually paint on my ceramics. You usually glaze it. So glaze is this, like, his hair is super shiny and like light green. That's a glaze, right? That's something that's never going to come off. I don't usually paint my ceramic work. Some people have strong opinions on if you should put paint on ceramic work. Contemporary ceramics, people do. So I'm going to do that today. And if you're out there cringing because, you're like, well, Garrett, that sculpture looks done to me, you should just leave it. Well, I respond with, well, why not? Why not paint on it? Why not take a look at it? See what it looks like. So, if I don't like it, I could break it and throw it out anyways. So, I'm going to mix some colors. I'll leave this here so you can see it. If you have any, now I did do something cool for those of you watching. I made a comic. This one right here. When I did the comic, I did it live on the streams, and people gave me suggestions for the characters, suggestions for the panels, and how the story developed. If you have any suggestions on what I'm going to paint for the little clown guy, put them in the comments, and I'll see it. So if you say, no, you should give him a polka dot yellow tie, I'll give him a polka dot yellow tie. Unless you give me some extremely heinous request, I'll most likely do it. So I'll leave him here while I get some paint up. Now you're not gonna be able to see the paint mixing. I'll show the paint mixing. That's fun. That's fun to watch. So I'll slide this guy over. Put my palette here. Now we'll paint. So I'm gonna try to make like a teal, again using one of my previous drawn prints. I'm gonna use a little bit of the Cerulean blue, and I'll add a little bit of the phthalo green. Okay. Now when I did this, and I might add some white to it. I think I've got, that white's still usable, so I'll use that. So I'll start with the blue. I think I talked about this. You always want to add the dark to the light paint when you're mixing paint. Because if I was adding white to this blue, it would take, this whole tube of white to make it a light blue, because that blue has such strong pigment in it. So I'm going to mix this to a greenish teal that I like, and then I'm going to add a little bit of that to the white. And I'm just going to add a little bit of green. I'm getting some notifications on Instagram. Right on, Todd. Todd has found the Instagram. Check that stuff out, Todd. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to mix this. So with your palette knife, I'm just picking it up, smearing it together, trying to get a teal that I like. Now, when I make my ceramic work, I don't usually use a lot of color. That's something that I've been trying to experiment more with. So as you can see, it's just pretty much black, brown, and then the white clay. So I'm going to try to make this a light paint color, a light teal. I'm going to keep that base color because I like that base color. I'll do some like outlining with it. But I'm going to paint some like triangles by his eyes and then do the frown. And then I might paint the nose like a bright red or something. But I first want to get this teal for the eye triangle set first. Boom. I think I need to add, this is really green. I'm going to add a little bit, and I use this in the last painting too, of my ultramarine blue. This stuff's super strong, so you don't need a lot at all. So I'm just going to add a little smudge there. A little smudge, smear that in. Yeah, and that'll change it to more of like a purpley blue green color, which is what I'm looking for. That's one of the fun parts of painting with oil paint. I mean, you can do it with any paint, I'm assuming. You can paint and mix paint and make your own colors. Yeah, Zachary did a stream about color mixing, and he used like 4 colors and then ended up making 27 different shades and tints of that color. So that looks good. I'm gonna use, I went to brighten it by covering it with my hand. I'll use a flashlight. Because my light in the room, it's bright for you because I got these big spotlights on me, but I want to see more of the color. That looks good. We'll start with that. So I'm gonna do the triangles first. So I'm gonna get a small brush. What did I do? Oh, what do I do with my brushes? There. So I'm gonna use this little. Maybe I won't use that one. There we go. I'm gonna use this little, just one round Blick Essentials brush. And we'll go from there. So I'm gonna add a little water to my paint, not a lot. For this, I want it to be able to coat it, because it's not gonna be able to soak into this clay. And you got to see the mixing, so I'm gonna swap these again. Give me 1 second. Smear off as much paint as I can. Wipe it off, keep my tool clean. And now I'm gonna swap this and this. So you can't see my colors anymore, but I can show you a close-up of the face. So I'm gonna take that paint, I add a little water. Like I said, if you're using regular oil paint, do this in a ventilated space. This doesn't have a lot of off-gassing. I'm using a water-soluble paint. So all I need is a little water and it'll break it up. You'll need some more, some terpenoid or turpentine. That coats it pretty well. Excited. Now I'm not going to paint the whole surface of this. I want the clay to come through with the work that I originally put on it. So I'm going to do a wash. A wash is a thin coat of paint, or whatever stain you're working with. I'm going to do a wash of paint for like some white. Right, so I did the one triangle. It is a triangle. On top, I'm going to do the bottom one. And again, I'm calling this mixed media art because, just go around your house and see what you got laying around, what you can paint on or draw on or cut up and put back together in a different way. And that's how some of the best art is made. I'm going to make the triangle a little wider. Same for at the top. Okay. Oh, I just almost ate that. There we go. Take some more. I'm going to do the other side. Again, doing the triangle. I'm doing just like an outline of the shape first. Oh, there it is. And then I'm filling in that shape with the paint. Anyone watch any good shows or movies lately? I don't know if anyone has seen me talk about the comic book I'm working on, or the graphic novel. It's based off like old black and white films about mobster movies. So I've found that YouTube has like full-length black and white movies. I've been watching a lot of those. So that's been pretty much what I've been watching, other than binging my other Netflix shows or whatever. Has anyone found anything cool? Kyle, watch any good race car movies recently? All right. So I'm keeping his wrinkles in there. Because like I said, I'm going to go in with another color. And you know what? Hold on. Let me go grab something as an example to show you. I'm back. So here's a fantastic clown ceramic piece I just purchased from Mike FX on Instagram. This is a Captain Spaulding clown. So the texture that he's got going on in there, focus. There you go. The texture he's got going on in there, that's from something called underglazes and stains. Velvet underglaze is what he said he used. So I'm going to try to achieve an effect like that with oil paint, but you can do it using the materials for ceramics. I'm just not firing any of my work right now, so this is a little solution to that problem. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so I like, do I like that? Ooh, I've got paint all over myself. Let's see. I guess I like that. Let's mix some red up. Well, I'll use the dark green. I'll use the dark green now. Add some water to it. Thin it out. I'm going to use that base teal that I had made. And then I'm going to do a little outline with it. Same brush. Now this doesn't, my work is all about, I'm fascinated with things that are considered ugly or gross, grotesque, dirty. So this doesn't have to be super clean, right? It's your preference of how you want the aesthetic of your work to be. So I'm just going in there and giving it a quick outline, right? As if this clown had put this makeup on himself. Now again, this paint's gonna take like quite a few days. That painting took like, I'm telling you, 2 weeks to dry. So once I get this all on here, it's gonna take it a while to dry. There's his little clown makeup. Okay, now I'll wash my brush off. I'm gonna just take some white, and I'm gonna use a different type of brush. It won't be a brush, it'll be this little sponge brush, so I can make a really thinned out white. And then I can add that to his face as like clown makeup, the white part. Right? I see some people are jumping on Facebook. What's going on? If you're just now joining in, doing some mixed media art, some projects I had laying around my studio, putting some clown makeup on a sculpture that I had made. Wherever you're watching from, if you haven't yet commented, I'd love to know where the viewers are today. Okay, so I've really thinned out that white, and we're gonna apply it. Ooh, that looks pretty cool. Apply it to his face. I don't want it super thick, because like I said, I want what I had already put on the surface to kind of shine through, but that very subtle white looks pretty good. Self-portrait. John, you're funny, man. You're funny. Self-portrait. Yeah, okay. Self-portrait. So some areas I'll actually paint more on, right, where it hasn't smeared off. And then I'm going to take my rag and distort it a little bit. John, to answer your question, no, I'm not doing a self-portrait. This was a sculpture that I had in my house, and I made it. This is mine. I'm not defiling someone else's art. And I had always thought about doing some sort of like painting color on it. So take the time now to do it. So I'm going to add like a brighter white to areas where I want the highlights to be. So highlights in maybe, Todd, you can talk about this. Highlights in a painting of a portrait, right, where the lights are hitting. Just kidding, looks great. Thank you, sir. So I'm adding some white to like the cheekbone there, and then it thins out almost like a thin whitewash there by the jaw. And then I'll do this on the jawline, this little like growl area, this little wrinkle, that'll be where some more white is. What? Someone else is following, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm using the rag to distort it so that it's a thin coat of paint. I'll make the ears. The ears will be pretty white. So he doesn't touch his ears that much. I made a cool, I actually used stains and underglazes for like a little Joker face jug that I made. I had that on my Instagram for a while. Right, just adding that white in there. John missed the first segment. So this, John, is a ceramic piece that I already had made, and I just had it laying around in my apartment, and I decided to paint it. So I'm using the same oil paint as I did for the toy soldier. What you missed for the first part was I put a clear coat of varnish on the toy soldier painting, this guy. So he's done. The varnish I used was the same brand, Winsor Newton. I use a satin wash. Can you see that? Focus. It's not going to focus. So I just did 2 coats on it real lightly so that it seals the painting and it keeps it safe. And then what it also does is it makes the colors pop out and they're a lot more brighter. I showed off one of my comic pages I had drawn. But this has been, I just started this. We've been working on this. And then if I finish this and I still have some time, I've got a portrait page ready that I could ink. Oh, I think you just asked what did I make that out of? This is ceramics. Sorry, I misread that question. So this is ceramic, just stoneware clay fired up to cone 6. So it's already fired. It's it's already a rock, and I'm just using oil paint to paint on top. I don't know if you saw this, but I just got this piece. Was a little inspired by it by another artist named Mike FX. You can find him on Instagram. He did that with underglazes, and it's called velvet underglazes. I'm using oil paint just because I've got it here. So let's do the mouth now. I'm gonna take my scraper. You're not gonna see a lot of this. I'm not gonna keep shifting these back and forth. Pardon the noise. Cleaning off a spot. Clean off my brush. My X-Acto blade thing. Now I'm going to mix some red. So I'm going to use this cadmium red. And I'm going to use a little bit of cadmium yellow. Because I want it to be almost like a warm orangey color. So just a little yellow. A lot of red. That was leaking a little bit. A lot of people jumping on Facebook. What's going on? Check this out. Working on a little clown sculpture. Take my palette knife again. Mix the paint together. Ooh, this is nice. This is cadmium red and yellow. Look at that bright red we got to work with. Okay. So I'm going to take a different brush. A little water. Loosen those bristles up. Okay. Now we'll do the mouth. Oh, and if you hadn't seen it, John, or anyone else that had just joined, I was kind of using this as an inspiration. This is a print that I had done. It's an ink drawing, and then I printed it on this really nice paper and used these colors, this grit texture supply stuff online to add some details to it. So that's what inspired the color scheme for today. And I used this weird clown book that I had got. Check that out, pretty creepy. I initially bought it to mail to my friend who lives in Texas who hates clowns, but just never did. Maybe I'll mail him this sculpture. He's got a little Garrett Augustin sculpture collection, art collection. He's got a couple of my paintings and comics and stuff. Maybe he'd like this. Okay, so he's got the little frown. John asked, is it better to use oils or over acrylic on ceramics? This is the first time I'm using oils on ceramics. I think I talked a little bit about that, where some people say don't paint it. Other people say it's cool to paint ceramics. I think it's fine either way. Do whatever you want. I thought oils would be cool because you can get a lot more custom colors. And they're just like richer sometimes, in my opinion. You can use either one. The thing with acrylics is if it's too thick, it creates like a plastic skin on the clay. If the clay's not porous enough, the oil paint will soak into the surface a little bit. So I think if you're just gonna do a little bit and you want some washes and stuff on your sculpture, right? Check that out. I would do oil. Now I'm using the water soluble oil. I highly recommend that, so you don't have to use turpentine or terpenoid to break it down, and you don't have to deal with a lot of gases or anything. So yeah, I mean you can use either one. It's really just your preference. And I have some acrylics in my studio. Most of them I left with my mother because she was painting a project, so I gave her mine. So yeah, I mean I'm using oil because I had them here too. Okay, so I'll do the nose now. So I want that to be the bright red too. Yeah, I think so. Yes. We'll paint the nose too. Now he's gonna have a big bright red nose. Yeah, I think just oil paint just coats it a lot nicer. I've spray painted ceramic pieces before. That's also a good route to do if you want to spray paint some stuff. Get creative with it. Like I said, there's some people that are like, you don't ever paint ceramics. That's just wrong. Do whatever you want. A little red nose. Okay, so I'm going to take this rag again. Distort some of the... Some of the paint that I put on there. Just scraping it because I want it to look weathered. I talked a little bit about, like in my work, I want things to look rough and dirty and worn in. So I'm just going to take this and kind of smear it together. That looks pretty good. So I'm gonna wash off my brush. And I'm just gonna use white now. And the white I'm gonna use to, I'm not gonna brush it. I'm like poking it. And I'm gonna add some more highlights, right? Where I want that light to really shine through. To see where, because his makeup kind of grayed out. I don't know. I think I just had a little blue on my brush when I was doing it. But this is going to be straight up white I'm going to add. John had a question off topic. Never off topic. I'm always off topic. What type of clay do you recommend to use to make a sculpture? So John, I know you're buying like kilns and stuff. If you're looking to do like a bunch of ceramic things, I think me, you, and Zachary should jump on a call and talk about how to get all that set up. But I use a stoneware clay. So I go through Laguna is a brand of clay. Depending on what type of kiln you have to fire it to different temperatures. So this clay I fire to a cone 04, right? So that was just a stoneware white clay. So you just have to check I'll write it down. You have to check what temperature the clay is fired to. They all fire differently. So that triangle is a cone, so that's a low fire. If it says it can fire to 0405, that's the temperature of the clay. You would fire to 0405. So you just have to check when you buy the clay what temperature it fires to. This is a higher fire clay, so it goes to a cone 6, right? Cone 6. The O means it's a lot lower, right? It's just you can look up kiln temperature chart. I mean, you can see all this. So I actually fired it to cone 6 in the end. When you bisque it to a lower temperature, which is 04 or 05, so that it's more porous. You can glaze it and the glaze soaks in, and then you fire it to a higher temperature when it's done, right? If the clay can only fire to 05 or 04, you don't want to take it to this temp because the clay will melt. Like your actual sculpture will melt. So that's just a little off topic ceramic 101 knowledge. And I'll go over that. I'll just do a little ceramic lecture. Maybe I could do that with Zachary to talk about stuff because I can't really fire my piece right now. But I can show you some different steps to that. But that's just a little bit. You just got to check the cones. As far as type of clay, like I said, you can get, this is just a white stoneware, so it'll be white like this. The sculpture that I did in like the first couple streams of that little bust, that little portrait, it was like a darker red clay. It's when you fire it, it'll be white with some speckles in it. But you can also have a red clay, or there's all different types. You just gotta look them up. But yeah, super excited. I love seeing all your posts on Instagram about all the stuff you're getting. It looks awesome, man. You're gonna have this set up before you know it. So I've got that, actually works out really nice. That like gray white underneath. I'm going on top now. Again, I'm not brushing. I'm like squishing my brush. Anyway, the thing you don't want to do when you're regular painting, I'm like stabbing it almost. I think I've only made a couple ceramic clown pieces, and one of my professors in college bought it in a raffle I had, or an auction I had on my Instagram. He's got it in his collection. There's a bank calling me. Hello? Exclusive announcement from Marriott Hotels. Don't you love when you get those calls? See? I'll pick them up and bring them over. Right? So just little details in there. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. So again, even with, I talked about this when I was painting the toy soldier, and even now, it's good to build layers up. So I've got that gray, white, bluish in there. Now I'm going on top with this white color. And it just adds a variety to the painting, gives it a little bit more dimension. So even though this is a sculpture, still thinking of it like a painting and how I'm applying that paint. And I'm not coating the whole thing, right? I'm not going to paint it solid white. I want some of that clay to sit up or to bleed through. I want the other paint to kind of bleed through because I want this to look like a found object, almost like an old clown statue or something. Looks pretty cool. John says amazing work, love it. And yeah, John, definitely. Ask me. I mean, you can ask me questions anytime. I'll answer them, no matter what the stream topic is. If anyone has any questions about any type of art, feel free to ask. Anytime. Boom. It's getting there. It's getting there. A little clown makeup. A little clowny clown makeup. Wash off my brush. I'll leave it there so you can see it. Now I'm thinking I'm going to paint a little bit on the hair too. Now the hair is glazed, but I remember when I glazed it, it didn't come out the way I wanted it. So I am going to paint the hair a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in. I've kind of smudged the eyes a little too much. I'm losing those triangles, so I'm going to go back in and repaint those. And now I'm kind of blending in those two colors I had. I had that light teal and the dark teal. I want them to blend in a little bit more so that they're not so starkly different. Boom. Boom, boom. There we go. Maybe I'll even make these go back a little bit more. I like that. I made the point. You can't. No, I'll pick it up again. Right at the top, I want to make them go back a little bit further. Make them a little bit more pointy. Again, this paint is going to take a while to dry. So if you're going to do something like this with an oil paint, make sure you got a space to put your painting or your sculpture for a week or two. That looks good. Boom. All right. I'm gonna paint his eyes. We'll do brown eyes, maybe? Some brown. Take a little bit of this burnt umber color. It's just brown. Get a little bit of that. Paint his eyes brown. And I'm gonna paint the reflection in his eye. Joanne Sweeney, Miss Sweeney, hello. Checking out some painting, making a clown. Paint the reflection in his eyes so that they pop out. And then I'm also going to paint the whites of his eyes. Love it. Thank you. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. So I realized I should have done that the other way. I should have did the whites first and then the brown of the eyes. But that looks okay. I'm just going to have to go back in there and add another layer of brown. I've been using the same brush. I tend to do that when I paint, is I just kind of find a brush that works and then just roll with it. But if you're, a profesh, if you want to be follow with the steps of the professionals, get a whole set of brushes so that you can do a variety of techniques with them. So I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go, but I'm sure if I had really small brushes and wider brushes, I could get a variety of textures. I do have quite a bit of different types of brushes, but this is the one that's working for me the best. Joanne just asked, hold on, let me finish this. Do you just put something over the paint after it dries to protect it? That's up to you. If you just joined in, I painted this. I'll use this as an example. This painting, the same paint, it's an oil paint. I coated it with a varnish. So if I wanted, once this clown is dry, I could coat him with a little varnish. The varnish kind of makes the colors bright, keeps it healthy. Take a look at that. Why isn't it focusing? Focus. It's not gonna focus. It's a satin varnish. So you could coat it with that. I might not. Depends. I think I might put this like on just the color makeup, not the white. I think that would look pretty cool. And the camera's not doing this justice because these bright lights are on it, but check that out. I mean, that's looking pretty cool. The whites in the eyes are too much. I'm gonna dial those back down a bit. So I'm gonna take that brown, go in there. And I'm just gonna, like that little reflection is too big. So I'm just gonna make it smaller. So yeah, to answer your question, you can coat this. You can honestly get, there's this stuff I used to use when I wanted to cheat on ceramic projects. It's a spray paint called literally like glossy glaze or something, and it's a super thick coating of just like gloss paint. You could coat it with that if you wanted it to be shiny. But like I said, if I wanted this to be like matte or like dry looking, like it was real makeup, the paint will probably dry like that, and I'll probably just leave it the way it is. Boom. Just like that. I like that. That looks a little bit better. Okay. Paint the hair. Let's do it. Let's paint the hair. And I might mix up a black. And I might outline this makeup stuff or do something because it's kind of all blurring together. But I like it right now, the way it's all blending together. The nose is very large, so the makeup is standing out. It's way more vibrant in the picture than it is in real life. So it's not as saturated as it looks. I'm going to take a little bit of that brown and mix it with the red. So I can add these little shadows here. To make the nose look a little bit more rounded. And then I'll take a little bit of white with the red. And I'll add a little bit of that white-red mixture on the tip of the nose. See if you can see that. You can kind of see that. Hold on. So now it's got a little bit more dimension. It's hard to see on the camera, but it's got dark on the you can tell this is the bulb. That's the big part that's popping out. Right. And I'll do the same thing. I'll take a little of that white red and put it on the lips. And that's something that oil paint is just so smooth. I just feel like it's more fun for me to mix it. So I tend to lean towards using oil paint for this. John had asked which one's the best. Use either or. And you don't have to paint on a sculpture of ceramics either. You can do it on whatever you want. People are finding my Instagram. Nope, let's delete that. Hold on. If anyone is curious and they want to see some more of my work or CreatiVets art that I've made, I'm going to post it in the chat right now. Boom. You can check that out. Like I said, I will be posting a picture of the toy soldier painting today, hopefully, if it dries. I'm going to take this brown and I'm going to extend his mouth. So like here, his mouth is super small, but I want the makeup to go down to make it look like he's got a really wide smile. That looks pretty good. This is fun. Like I said, I've never painted any of my ceramics before, but I made this sculpture. I have random art sculptures all over my house, all over my apartment, and I wanted to do something like this where I could paint on it. See, now his mouth looks longer. That looks awesome, if I do say so myself. But always revisit work that you have. That's the cool thing that I've been doing, on top of all the other things that I'm doing during the stay-at-home order. But I'm looking at a lot of my old art, thinking about how I can improve it, or just things that I wanted to do. And like I said, I wanted to paint on a sculpture, and I've drawn some clowns before, and it's been super fun, so why not do a painting? I'll text my friend right now and tell him to jump on. And then he'll say how great the clown looks. Side note. Jump on my stream. I'll send him a picture of this. Can I send it? He'll love that. He loves clowns. Just kidding. Okay, I'm thinking I'd love to make a bow tie for this. Maybe I'll have Zachary has made some bow ties before. Maybe I'll make like an actual bow tie for this guy. Hair. That's what I said I was gonna do, and then I got distracted. Let's do the hair. So I'm gonna do I got a couple more colors I want to add. I definitely need to do another coat in the eyes of white. I want to do like a dark purple for the shadows in the face. So underneath the like cheekbones, and then in the eye, like the eyelid area itself, I'm going to do a dark purple. So I think I'll do the green first. I'm going to use a lemon yellow, and I'll use the Cerulean blue. This was a great green for the like toy soldier green, so I'm hoping to make like a bright lime green like that again. So I'll add some yellow. I'll do a little bit more yellow. Add a little bit. Actually, I'll just use... I'll just add Cerulean. Okay. Boom. There we go. I'm going to clean off my palette knife. Now, I strategically wore one of my fire department shirts because these are old and kind of ripped up. So if I get paint on it, I get paint on it. This stuff is not clothes safe. So be mindful of that. Okay, this is a good base color green. Like I said, adding layers of paint. This is it's like a bright green. And then I can go back in there with some just straight up yellow and mix it on top. Okay, here we go. We'll use a bigger brush. Do I have a bigger brush? Slightly. Yeah, we'll use this guy. This green. Again, as far as brushes, you can get the really fancy oil paint brushes. For what I'm doing, it works to just grab whatever. I don't want this to be super clean looking. I want it to look like a found object. But these you can buy in bulk from Blick or NASCO or any art company. And the cool thing about these is you can buy this is what I buy for my students. So you can buy a bunch of these in bulk, like 50 of them for like $10. And they're super high quality. I mean, I've painted with them personally and I really like them. Let's see what my friend said about the clowns. I told him to join the stream. Let's see what he said. He didn't respond he asked me about something else. Okay, add a little water, a little bit of water, because this paint is not as thick. Now, because I'm painting on glass pretty much because I already glazed this. So this is a different surface than just the clay. So I'm curious to see if it'll stay. I might not be able to add as thick of layers as I want to. So maybe I'm not going to thin it out at all. I'm using the paint that is thicker. Now I'm just going to go in with just some yellow. I'm going to do a lot of just like mixing on the actual clown. So I did that dark green ring around the bottom. And I'm going to use the medium green to kind of blend that dark into the medium green. And then I'm just going to get some straight up. Where did it go? Where did the yellow go? Can you see it? There it is. I'm going to straight up add my lemon yellow, because that's the bright yellow I have. Just going to add a lot of that to the tip of the point. I have a nice little color blend. From a dark green to a light lime yellow green. Sweet. All right, I'll show that off a little closer. But you can see it goes from dark to light. Right? That's just mixing it on it. And I'm not sure if it's going to stick to it or dry correctly because it's on like a glass surface. But that looks way better of a sculpture than what I had when I started. Got another text. I'll take a picture of this. Stopped midstream to respond to a Snapchat. That's what a good friend I am. Okay. Dark purple for the eyes. So let's work on that. The hair looks good. Looks solid. What I could do, I didn't do a good job sculpting this with wrinkles in the back. Again, that was something, you gotta look at your sculpture from different angles to see where they need attention. Because like from behind, it's pretty boring. But up front, there's a lot of details in it. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. So I'm going to get, I'm actually going to take a little bit of just straight up white and brush that on the lips. To make them stand out from the nose. Right? Different color. Just like that. That looks good. Little white dot in the middle. Let's see if you can see that up close. A little reflection on it. Looks pretty good. Okay. Wash off the brush. I'll leave this there. Sorry if you don't like clowns. You probably shouldn't be watching this stream. Modeling it off of a little print that I made. Let's mix up some purple. So I've got some blue already mixed. Yeah, I already used that blue, so I'll kind of scrape that to the side. Again, using my X-Acto scraper. I've collected, check this out, all the paint on there, and I'm just going to smear it in a different location and wipe it off. Just like that. So let's make some purple. So let's do my French ultramarine and some cadmium red. So I already have some red on the palette. I'm just going to add some blue. A little bit of this stuff, a lot of bit of the red. Remember, you want to add the dark to the light when you're mixing paint. Let me just give you a status of my palette, what it looks like. See all those wonderful colors on there? Oh, is that too close? Here. All the wonderful colors I've got mixed on there. I'm going to take my little palette knife, mix it together. So I'm going to take quite a bit of this red and just a little bit of the blue. A little bit more. It's a nice dark red I just made. Is there anywhere I could put that? I've successfully made brown, which is not what I wanted. I'm going to use it for some shadows around the nose, though. And I'll use it on the mouth, too. Take a smaller brush, just a clean brush so I can kind of smear that paint together a little smoother. All right. Getting distracted, but I want to work on the mouth a little bit more. Okay. I just made the mouth look a little smoother. I'll show you. Right, so now it looks a little bit more coherent. Coherent. Whatever that means for a sculpture. Okay. Back to the purple mess that I just made. Starting over. So we're going to try a different color combo. We're going to do the Cerulean blue with that red. Cerulean blue. And cadmium red. And I might add a little white in there. Just keep it from getting so dark. A little water break. Here we go. All right. I have successfully made a really dark purple. So I'm going to lighten it. I'm just going to add a little bit of white. So I want it to be dark because I'm going to use it for my shadows. Check it. Purple. Purple. Right? Okay. All right. So, using the dark purple, I'm going to add some on the eyelid. I need to thin it a little bit. Add a little water. And this will be subtle, so I don't know if you're going to actually be able to see this. But he's got a, oh, you kind of see it. Got a little purple eye. Alright. Do it to this side too. And then I'll add it to like those areas that need a little bit more color. So the ears, but then I'm gonna go in and wipe it. So it's more smeared in there. And a little purple. Underneath the mouth. Give him some more. Now this, I'm not going to leave it that obvious. But I'm adding some purple to give his jawline some more definition. Right. Now I can go back in with a brush, fix up that white texture that I had. Boom. And I think I'm going to add, is this? Add a little bit more white so I have it to work with. Some clean white. Mix, mix, mix. Now I'm going in and adding more highlights in the ears, cheekbones, I'll do it in the eyes too. just going in and adding different areas for the whites for the makeup, and then purples for some shadows on the makeup. I don't think I'm gonna go like all the way around the head. I want to have some areas so it's like that's where the makeup stops. So I'm gonna suggest some neck wrinkles by just painting some lines. Right, so underneath it looks like it's not just a flat neck, which is what it is. Just adding some more dimension. Like I said, I think I should make a little bow tie for this guy. But I don't know how to do that, so I'll have to ask Zachary how to do that. And I'm just going at the edges with my brush, destroying my brush in the process, but smoothing it out so it's like blends into the clay. Now I'm just taking the brown and adding some more shadows to like his back neck area, so that it's not so just one tone. And a little bit of white in there to smooth it out. Right, so his head pops off a little bit more. Boom. Now his neck has a little bit more life to it. So it doesn't just look like clay. I've added some like skin tones to it. I'm gonna go over the eyes again. Add some more white in there, and then I think that's it. I think I'm gonna take I think I'm just going to take brown and go over and make some more really strong black brown lines in the around the makeup. To make them pop out a little bit more. Not everywhere, but in like the corners and edges, just to, like I said, make the makeup stand out a little bit more. Keeping my brush flat. Go back in a little bit more blue, or not the blue, but the like teal blue that I had made for the makeup. I smudged a little bit at the top, so I'm going to add a little bit of white to fix up that edge. Because I wanted his white makeup to be smudged, but the points and the teal part of the makeup to be really clean. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now we have a little painted clown sculpture. It looks pretty good. Is that I think it's missing a bow tie for sure. So that'll be, maybe I'll do a part 2 stream with the clown head and do a painting for, or not a painting, make a bow tie. Yeah, so that's it. I don't want to pick it up anymore because I've painted over the entire surface of it, but I'll scooch it a little closer so you can see Miss Juice sent the rock hands right on. All right, I'm going to turn this light off. There you go. Let me turn. Yeah, I'm a little darker, but you can see him a little bit better. So using the oil paint, I just kind of put a little bit all over the surface. Not sure about the glaze or the paint sticking to the glaze in on the hair, but I think it'll work. I just saw a little spot in the eye, the left eye. The highlight's a little uneven, so I'm going to add a little white there. But yeah, if you make a sculpture or something, or a painting of something, you know, go back and look and see what you can do to change it. I use some painting techniques for some shadows in the nose, the white highlight on the tip of the nose to make it look 3D. Same thing with the makeup. There's some lighter teal in there. There's some darker teal in there. With the mouth, there's some spots where the highlights are coming through, right? And then for the face itself, I really relied on the color of the clay to come through behind the white. And then behind it, I added the little brown to add the shadows behind the neck. And just give his skin a little bit more dimension. This area I think is like a weak spot in the painting, but like I said, I think to finish it, I'll do a little cloth bow tie. I think that would be a great little finisher for this piece, and that's it. Yeah, I'm just gonna take a little white and and this sponge paintbrush. So just the white on the sponge. I'm gonna lightly go over the hair to kind of just get the ridges, because it is textured. So I'm pressing just light enough so the paint is taken off the sponge on the ridges. It's not being painted on the whole thing, but I want that texture to really stand out. So I'm really loading up this heavy with paint. Right, boom. So now you can see the little, the texture of the hair. It'll stand out a little bit better. Just going along the seam of the hair to make that consistent. Boom. But yeah, I think he's done. Stay tuned for pictures of him. I don't know, I'll take some funky pictures of him somewhere and post it on my gram, so check that out. Maybe we'll do a little highlight of it on the CreatiVets story. Just taking a brush and cleaning up the edge of that nose. Taking my finger. Boom. I think he's done. I'll let this dry and see. I mean, I might change my mind in a couple of days. You never know. And I might want to add something else. I can already see making the whites of the eyes a little bit whiter because they weren't before. They're like gray. So I'm just going in there real quick and adding some white in the eyes. Boom, like that. Make it stand out. Make his eyes stand out a little bit more. See? Look at that. Now we have a really sad clown sculpture. Pretty cool. I think that's it for the day. Like I said, I'm going to be working on my graphic novel today, finishing the sketch of it. If I get that finished, I can do some streams on inking it. Put my lights back on so you can see me. And I've got, stay tuned, if you followed any of my Instagrams, I'll be posting the pictures of those portraits today. Hopefully one on each. But check that out. That's our little clown sculpture, mixed media sculpture for the day. Right on. Sweet. So, thanks for joining in. If this is your first stream with us, glad to have you. If you've watched quite a few with us, glad to keep having you. Stay tuned for more things. I think this is the last stream for today. So go to creativets.org/live. Check it out. Sunday, we should have all of our schedule up for next week posted. Next week's going to be pretty busy for us. We're going to be doing a 24-hour stream event, curated show from the 6th and 7th for Big Payback, so check that out. If you want to donate to us, that is the time during Big Payback because we can get some additional prizes. So check that out on our Instagram and Facebook. All the information is there, and you can go on our website too. Click the link in the Instagram bio, and it can give you links to everything. So yeah, if you're wanting to tune in May 6th and 7th, we'll definitely have a lot of programs going on, a full schedule sent out, and then throughout the week, check it out Sunday, creativets.org/live, and you can see future streams. If you want to just watch streams that we've already done, check it out on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. You can see the past streams. I think you can do it on Mixer, and I think you can do it on all of them, pretty sure. So find out where you can stream. Go on our Instagram, CreatiVets, go to the link in the bio. You can find out where we stream, and then watch some old streams, make some art. If you make any art, obviously tag us on Instagram or Facebook at CreatiVets so we can see it and post it and show off your wonderful work. All right. Happy Friday. Hope you all have a great and safe weekend. That is it from me.
We are a nonprofit that's helping Comet disabled veterans heal through the arts and music. Our art programs in Chicago and California help Comet disabled veterans tell their story through art. We enroll them into the best art institutes in the country. We pay for their tuition, their housing, their food all 3 weeks so that they can finally tell their story through art. We also bring Comet disabled veterans to Nashville, to places and rooms like this here at the Grand Ole Opry, to tell their story for the first time with pro songwriters all about the things that they went through that they never been able to talk about before. These programs have been extremely successful in helping veterans combat their PTSD. Right now, CreatiVets has more veterans applying for our programs than we do funding. So if you can go to creativets.org and donate, we would appreciate it.